recently did some shopping at Ulta and I noticed that about half of my order was really affordable drugstore products and the other half was pretty high ticket items. And I realized that I had two foundations and two eyeshadow palettes. And one of the foundations was expensive, one was very affordable, and same with the eyeshadow palettes I had purchased. And it kind of got me thinking and wondering if those higher price tag items that I purchased are actually worth their higher price point. So today we are going to side by side compare and do some first impressions of 4 new makeup products that I owned. I'm also going to do a check-in at the end of the night before washing this off so that you can see a wear test, see how these really did hold up throughout the day. And we can try to answer the question on whether or not expensive makeup is worth the price tag. So I am going to do eyeshadow first today because both of these palettes are new to me and I don't want to risk too much fallout just in case. All I have done so far is put my typical Milani eyeshadow primer down on both eyes. And now let's talk about the 2 products I'm featuring here for my eyes today. The first one is the new Essence line. They have a bunch of these little 6-pan eyeshadow palettes out now in different color stories. And I picked up the one called I Like to Mauve It, and it's very beautiful mauve shades and I'm really excited about this. I actually have already swatched both of these palettes, so I'll put swatches up here on the screen so that you can see what these shades look like swatched out, and I'll talk kind of about some of my thoughts on those swatches as I apply today. But for now, this is what the palette looks like. This palette costs $3.99 before tax. And then in my high-end category, I have the Classic Blossom palette from KKW Beauty. I mean, this palette is just like the color story of my dreams. I will put swatches up on the screen right here. And again, I have some thoughts on these swatches, but I am excited to see how both of these eyeshadow palettes perform on my eyes today for the first time. Now, this one from KKW Beauty originally cost $42. I ended up getting it on super deep discount for around $11 because they are rebranding the brand. But if you wanted to buy this palette full price, and if you wanted to get the KKW Beauty brand and quality and products, originally this palette was $42. So for a bit of context, there is a $38 difference between the price tag of these 2 eyeshadow palettes, and the KKW Beauty palette costs 10.5 times more money than the Essence palette. Now, to be fair, the KKW Beauty one does come with 10 shades. The Essence comes with 6, so that's something to consider, I suppose. So we are going to go ahead and put them on these 2 sides of my face. So affordable over here and high-end on this side. So I'm gonna actually start with the Essence today, and then we'll move over to the KKW Beauty palette. All right, so the 2 palettes that I'm using today don't necessarily have a lot of shades that kind of look the same between the 2 palettes. So I'm not gonna be able to make these eye looks look identical or do like a comparison between the 2 in terms of shade to shade, but that's not really the point here. I'm more so just trying to determine which one applies nicely on my eyes and which one lasts the best throughout the day. That being said, I'm gonna do kind of a classic look for myself. I'm gonna put a mid-tone matte through my crease. I'm gonna deepen up the outer corner with a dark matte, and then I'm gonna put one shimmer on my lid. I might do an inner corner highlight. I don't know, we'll see kind of what shades I'm working with here. Also, a word of warning here that I picked purple eyeshadow from the drugstore, and generally purple tones are very hard to formulate in eyeshadow, so oftentimes they aren't the best performing shades, so just kind of keep that in mind as we go along here. The KKW Beauty palette definitely has shades and tones that are easier to formulate from an eyeshadow perspective. Regardless, though, I think that Essence should formulate something that they're proud to put their name on, right? So if they weren't able to make purple work, then maybe they shouldn't have released a purple palette. So we're gonna put it to the test today and see how that goes. Now, also in the swatches, I will just let you know that I think like 2, maybe even 3 of these shades are kind of duds. So we'll test them out a bit today. But like this shadow up here was very hard to swatch. This like gray looking shadow also was not wonderful. And then this 3rd shade here is just pretty lackluster. So I'll try to use a mix of ones that I feel like swatched well and didn't swatch well, just so we can get a feel for things. So as I said, this shade up here, it's called Move It. That one looked very, very different when I swatched it, so I'm actually very excited to get that on my eyes. So I'm gonna start with that in my crease and we'll see how it goes. Oh, and I forgot to mention there is a mirror in here and it's like big enough that I'm gonna be able to use it while I do my eyeshadow today, so that's kind of a perk as well. So going in with that shade Move It. Okay, so it is pretty light. When I swatched it, for some reason, it really did swatch a lot deeper than this, but it blended out just fine. You can absolutely see it. There is color there, but I think just to deepen things up a bit, I'm gonna go over to this more pinky toned purple, which is called Ya Nice. Yeah, I think that's fine. Honestly, I don't see a huge distinction between those two shades like on my eyes. I think they're both completely fine, but I don't necessarily think they're like anything outstanding. For $4 though, they're not patchy. Now here's where I'm not sure where to go because I don't necessarily want something this gray. For this look, I feel like things are already pretty kind of gray looking. So I think I'm actually gonna use this like satin shade up here as my outer corner color today to deepen things up out there. This was also like the patchiest, kind of weirdest one when I swatched them. So I think it'll be good to see how it actually performs on the eyes. It's actually looking okay. I'm gonna try to blend it here in a second and we'll see how well it blends. Just gonna go back to the same blending brush I had before and try to soften the edge here a bit. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good base. I'm gonna pick a shimmer and I really feel like I only have two like true shimmers to choose from here. And like I said, this shade here, Into It, that one was pretty lackluster when I swatched it. So I think I'm gonna give this palette its best shot. I'm gonna go into this shade Energetic and I'm gonna apply with my finger like I always do for shimmer shades. This is such a gorgeous like icy lavender color. I really do like this color. Okay, so it's shimmery. I might try spraying a brush with this one. I don't know if I'd say that was a lot better, but it definitely made it more opaque. I think it's looking pretty good, all things considered. And maybe I should say $4 price point considered. I am going to put concealer and powder right underneath of my eyes on both sides just so that we can do kind of top and bottom lashes together here. Okay, concealer, and I put a little bit of powder just right under my eyes to avoid creasing today. And then I am going to finish up my lower lash line now. And I think I'm gonna try to use the shade that I didn't use before. So I still am not really in the mood to have this gray on my eyes today, but I will use this sort of lackluster shimmer underneath my eyes. So this is the shade Into It. I actually think this shade would be really beautiful to use like as a matte with the palette because the shimmer particles are not that pronounced, but it's such a beautiful color. I really do love that color. I think it's beautiful. And neither of these palettes actually have a shimmer shade that feels like an inner corner highlight to me, so I'm just gonna end up using my face highlighter on the inner corner of both eye looks. Okay, so that eye's finished, and we're gonna swap over now to the KKW Beauty palette over on this side of my face. As you can see, I have a lot more matte shade options. I mean, this whole side over here. Oh, this would have worked as an inner corner. Well, anyways, these four over here are all mattes. This is a matte, this is a matte, and then this is like a very, very non-shimmery satin. I am going to actually, I think, use this matte shade today just to try to keep the crease a little bit consistent, and we'll go from there. Oh, and these also have shade names, I should say. So it looks like this one is called Tree. And this one has a mirror as well that's even larger than the one from Essence, obviously, just because it's a bigger palette. I have to say that's a beautiful shade. I mean, wow. What a flattering color. That matte is blending great. There's always this spot right here on this eye that never blends. So that's not the eyeshadow, that's just like my skin, my face. That's how it's been my whole entire life, like literally forever. So that's not a reflection of the palette. That's just how things go for me. And so don't let that kind of persuade your opinion of whether you think this blended well or not. In my opinion, it blended very, very nicely. So as I mentioned, the KKW Beauty palette does have a bit of a leg up here just automatically because the shades I picked in this brand are easier to formulate. So keep that in mind. However, I don't necessarily think that this matte from KKW blended any easier than the mattes from Essence. The mattes from Essence blended gorgeously. I am going to do sort of a similar thing to what I did over here, where with this outer corner, I actually used a matte that had some shimmer in it. I'm gonna do the same thing here. This dark purple shade down here called Season actually has microfine glitters, which I think you can see when I tilt the palette. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this on the outer corner just like I did with the other palette. This is a gorgeous shade. I love these colors. It did build really quickly though. That first layer didn't look like enough, and then I went and put one more layer on, and now it looks like a little darker than I would like it. So I am actually gonna blend it out. I don't have anything on this brush, like nothing additional. This is just the brush that I used in my crease before. That's blending out just fine. But it is losing some of the like berry tone. It's kind of brushing away some of the berry tone and really getting a little bit more of a neutral undertone peeking through. Okay, and I am gonna use just one shimmer today, even though it's gonna break my heart a little bit because I really wanna try like all of these. I think I'm just gonna go for like this mid-tone shimmer here called Samurai because I want to, you know, do a fair comparison here. And then on my lower lash line, I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the Essence palette actually. I'm gonna pick the shade that impressed me the least when I swatched it. And that's this shade up here. And it's like not even really a satin. It's such a weird texture and I really wanna see what it does. So I'm gonna put that under my eyes on this side. But first that shimmer shade, Samurai. Yeah, that's a really beautiful color. And then to be fair, I'm going to go ahead and go back over that with a flat brush that's sprayed just because I did that with the Essence shadow. I don't feel like that really made any difference. I think it actually looked just as good when I applied it just with my finger on the KKW Beauty side, whereas I do feel like the sprayed brush made a difference with the Essence palette. All right, onto that lower lash line with that kind of lackluster shade. It was called Blossom. So ironically, it's the like namesake of the palette, and I think it looks like the least good shade. It's like hard to get it to even really put down too much pigment. It's just not a good shadow. It looks so like beautiful and rusty in the pan, and on my eyes, it just looks like just so boring. Let me blend that one out a little because I really put a lot on trying to get more impact. Didn't really work. Okay, so here are the two looks. They look a little wild right now because I went pretty heavy-handed with them to really see how everything performed, and I don't have makeup on the rest of my face. So I will go ahead and put mascara on, then I'll give you a couple thoughts on both of these palettes before we move on to the foundation comparison and the wear test. All right, mascara is on, and I'm gonna give some preliminary thoughts here. Although, to be honest, my most insightful thoughts, or probably like my most fully formed opinions, will come during the wear test portion of this video, because one of the most important things to me is how long my eyeshadow lasts. And if one of these two clearly outperforms the other in terms of longevity, it will probably win this little battle, just because I don't love eyeshadow that can't last a good day worth of wear. That being said, just kind of looking up close right now, I couldn't even pick a favorite. First of all, I did myself a disservice here because I picked two very different color stories. So I just genuinely love both of these eye looks, and that's not helping because I'm happy with how they both turned out. I will say though, the one thing that keeps kind of coming up in my mind is that the Essence eyeshadow palette is very one-noted. You're going to more or less get these colors, these tones, this eye look regardless of what combination of shades you use from that palette. The KKW Beauty definitely gives you more range. However, all of the deep colors really are in this like berry family. So I think you can get a lot of variety in your looks if you use the lighter mattes and the shimmers, but as soon as you kind of go into that deeper territory, you're gonna kind of end up with the same look as well. I cannot wait to see how both of these wear. Honestly, they apply beautifully. I don't think you could go wrong with either one. Either way, like I said, I love how both of these look. So let's go ahead, move on to foundation. For the foundation battle, I am super, super excited because I am hoping that one or both of these products will fill a gap that I noticed in my makeup collection recently. So I just did a video where I went through my entire makeup collection. I did an inventory of everything that I owned, and I kind of tried to identify places where I felt I had too much or too little of a certain product. And I realized that I was missing a really good, solid, hydrating, medium coverage foundation with like a natural finish that is in my summer shade. So I have my favorite ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation. I mean, that's my tippy top favorite foundation of all foundations I have. And so I wanted something in my summer shade that could be kind of like mixed and matched with that ColourPop one so that all throughout the year I have a good medium coverage foundation with a natural finish that I can just rely on. So I actually picked up both of these products hoping that they would fill that gap. So first up on the affordable side is another Essence product. They have really been coming out with some good launches lately that I'm really excited about. And this is their Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. So it comes in a little squeezy tube like this. It is like a nice soft matte touch squeezy tube. It's 1 fluid ounce. I got the shade 40 Neutral Vanilla. I have already swatched this shade on just the back of my hand because I wanted to make sure that neither of these shades was gonna be like so far off my skin tone that I couldn't even compare them. So it is a relatively good shade match. You'll see when I put it on my face. Well, we'll see together when I put it on my face. So it does come with, I guess, 1.01 fluid ounces. And this is being marketed as a 24-hour long-lasting hydration foundation. And it says that it has a natural coverage. So that's our affordable option. Our expensive option is the Smashbox Studio Skin Hydra Foundation. This is in the shade 1.1 Fair Light Neutral. It comes in a glass bottle with a plastic pump and it's 1 fluid ounce. Again, I have already just put a little bit of this on the back of my hand so I could see the shade, and it seems like it's gonna be pretty good. We're gonna find out together. And this one has very similar claims to the Essence one. It's supposed to be a 24-hour wear with medium to full buildable coverage, and it is a comfortable natural matte finish. So essentially both of their claims boil down to a couple factors here. They both say they're 24-hour wear, which I will not be testing, but I will be testing them for a good chunk of time today so that we can really see how long they do last on just like an average day for me. They are both medium coverage. They are both supposed to be deeply hydrating for that 24-hour time span, which is great because I have very dry skin. And they are both supposed to be a natural finish. So exactly what I'm looking for. So we're gonna see, is the expensive option worth the extra price tag? And let me give you those prices quickly. The Essence is $6.99 and the Smashbox is $38. That is a difference of $31. And the Smashbox costs 5.5 times more. So I am gonna apply these with my favorite brush, my e.l.f. Flawless Blending Brush. I forget what it's called. Ultimate Blending Brush. It's this guy right here. So I'm gonna do one side of my face and then I'm gonna wipe it off super well, and then I'll do the other side. So there shouldn't be any cross-contamination, but I wanted to keep it consistent using the same tool for both sides of my face. I am gonna do the Essence first, and it's gonna go on this same side of my face where we have the affordable eyeshadow. Okay, so I'm just gonna dot it around my face like I always do. I'm gonna try to avoid kind of the center of my face because I don't want them to mix too much. It does have a slight scent, but I can't tell if it's like added fragrance or just like the smell of the cosmetics. So, but it does definitely have a scent. Okay, so just real quick initial thoughts here. That blended out very nicely. No brush streaks, no weird things happening. It's not emphasizing too much of the dryness around my nose here. It really does look pretty good, and that's like a notorious area for me where foundation doesn't usually look super great. The shade is beautiful. I mean, my neck is a lot lighter than my face right now, but that's not the makeup's fault. The makeup does match my face. I mean, you can look side by side. It's like my exact skin tone. It's looking a little weird, like on top of my nose. Again, my nose is like the weirdest part of my face for makeup. It really is a challenge. And when I'm trying to do this half and half, I can't do the thing I like to do, which is like really stamp nicely across my whole nose. So we might have to just kind of ignore that for today. Overall, it looks really, really nice. I would say this is on the lighter end of medium coverage. Like I would say I have medium coverage here, but I wouldn't mind having a little bit more. In fact, let me just see if I can build it up a little bit on kind of some of my redder areas of my cheeks and my nose. Let's just see what happens. It layered pretty well. I'm not gonna say it was flawless, but I think it's okay. And again, my nose truly is like the hardest part of my face to get it to look nice when I'm not just really slathering stuff on there. All right, on to the Smashbox. I'm just gonna dot this around my face like I did with the last one. This one too has a similar sort of like, it definitely has a smell. I don't think it's added fragrance, but it's like pretty strongly scented. I think I've been a little spoiled lately with some of my like very unscented makeup because these are both throwing me for a bit of a loop. Okay, so one layer here. So I'll probably do the same that I did with the Essence and try to build it up just to see. But wow, that's also a really beautiful foundation. Just a touch more matte, I think, than the Essence side, which is fine, expected. I mean, I want something that just basically looks like skin. I don't want it to be overly glowy or overly matte. And both of these, you can still see like some of my oils peeking through, some of my shininess peeking through, but they both are definitely not too flat or too glowy. Again, it handled my nose pretty well. And in fact, I think it handled my nose a little bit better than the Essence did over here, especially after I layered up the Essence. It didn't layer super great on top of itself, and so I'm curious to see what the Smashbox will do. Yeah, it actually also did not layer great. So I think it's my skin. We're gonna kind of disregard that for both of them because my skin is just like not having it today in that area. And that's not the fault of these products, although I wish that they could deal with it. No product really can. Not even like my tried and true favorites are dealing with that skin issue down there right now. So just layering a little more up on my forehead because it does say it's buildable to full coverage. I don't know that I agree that it's buildable to full coverage. After putting this second layer on, I think I agree that it's buildable to like a high medium, but full coverage wouldn't let this much of my like skin show through. And I don't want it to be full coverage. Just to be clear, I want medium coverage. Quick thoughts on the Smashbox. I think the shade is, again, spot on. Perfect, exactly what I was hoping for. I actually shade matched myself online with both of these brands, and I was impressed by both of their shade matching tools. So I bought them on Ulta, but I actually went to the Smashbox website and the Essence website to look at the shades because a lot of times brands will have better photos of their products on their own websites. So that both of them had like photos of models with the different skin tones. And that really, really helps me because I can find someone's face and say, yeah, that looks just like my skin tone. And it obviously worked. So I'm impressed with both of their shade matching options. And the Smashbox one is perfect shade, love it. Like I said, it is a little bit more matte. You can see just a little bit more of that glow peeking through, and it's a little bit more full coverage. Even when I just had one layer, I still think it was a little higher coverage than the Essence, but honestly, if I weren't comparing them like directly side by side right now on my face, I don't know that I would really think of these as being different coverage levels. I would just think of them both as like a good solid medium coverage foundation. Man, they both look really nice, really, really nice. And I am excited about that. I am so excited to see how these wear today. That wear test is going to be what really tells the truth, I think, about both the eyeshadow and the face products today, because man, I am honestly so impressed by every product that I've tried so far. I am going to quickly speed through using the same products for my cheeks and my lips on the rest of my face. I'm just going to use the Smashbox Cali Contour Palette today to do blush, bronzer, and highlight, because I'm very familiar with how this plays with all of my other foundations, and I know it doesn't mess with formula, it doesn't pick product up, it doesn't do anything weird. It shouldn't significantly increase or decrease the wear time of my foundation, etc. So I just know this is a good standard palette to use for a test like this. I'm going to use the same products on both sides of my face just so we really can see the difference at the end of the night. All right, so here we are, full face of makeup done. I'm going to keep this on as long as I can today. It's 10:15 in the morning right now, and I will update you later tonight and let you know how long I wore this, and we will see in terms of longevity how big of a difference there really is between affordable and expensive makeup. As of right now, you guys, I couldn't pick a favorite for the eyeshadow or for the foundation, and that's concerning to me. I thought I would at least have some thoughts. But honestly, right now, it's anyone's game, and that makes me really excited. So I will see you in a few hours. Okay, hi everyone. I wanted to do a quick check-in. We're about at the 3-hour mark for this face of makeup, side-by-side face of makeup. You can see I've been wearing my glasses, so the makeup is wearing off on both sides there. But aside from that, I just wanted to show you what it looked like in natural light, like right in front of my window. I really think it's looking pretty good. The foundation's looking pretty dang nice. Again, just as a reminder, this is the Smashbox and KKW side, and this is the Essence and Essence side. The eyeshadow on both sides holding up pretty dang well, I have to say. So just wanted to give you kind of like a quick 3 hours in update, and I will let you know at the end of the day how things look, but I'll probably do it in my studio lights. So I wanted you to see in natural lighting as well. Alrighty, welcome back at the end of the day. It has been 9.5 hours since I put this makeup on today, so I actually ended up with a fairly good wear test here. This will give us at least a pretty good sense of how each of the foundations and each of the eye palettes wore, and I will do my best to give you guys kind of my final verdict, my final thoughts on if the higher end makeup is worth the price tag or not. So let's go ahead and get up close and personal. All right, so I am in front of like my studio lighting, my ring light, etc., because it's dark outside, so I can't show you this in natural light, but I can show you some pretty good close-up footage of what these look like. And again, this is the Essence side, so the eyeshadow and the foundation are Essence. And this is the high-end side, so the Smashbox foundation and the KKW Beauty eyeshadow palette. All right, let me put this back. Everything actually still looks pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty surprised, especially with the foundations. I am so happy. I mean, you can definitely tell, so like you can tell that on the Essence side, a little more of my oils are like peeking through, and I stayed a little bit more matte on the Smashbox side, and we saw that right up front when I put both of them on side by side, that the Essence still had a little bit more dew, a little bit more glow right at the outset. But 9.5 hours in, I don't think I look too dewy or too glowy by any means. I am actually happy with how it has settled around my nose throughout the day. I was pretty worried that it was gonna just basically flake off of like those dry patches, but both of them actually settled in just fine, no significant creasing or anything like that. So pretty happy with the outcome of both of these foundations. That being said, if it were me and I were a regular consumer not testing makeup out for videos like this, I would probably just keep the Essence. Honestly, there is not a big enough difference here, in my opinion, to make the Smashbox worth $38. They are both clearly gorgeous foundations, and I'm so happy to have them both. But if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would likely opt for the Essence. I think you get the same thing, more or less, for $31 less to shell over. The eyeshadow is a hard one. I wish I had things that were a little closer in tone, because I like both of these looks for different reasons. But I will say, and hopefully you saw this in the close-up as well, the Essence one is creasing less. It's creasing less than the KKW Beauty one. Neither of them look like they have faded significantly. They have great staying power, and as you saw in like the application part of this video, they both also went on really beautifully. And so I think like if it really comes down to it, the Essence is not creasing. But I will say that my personal like cup of tea, I would still maybe splurge and pay for the KKW or an affordable alternative to the KKW Beauty that had a more robust color story. I mentioned this already, but I just feel like that particular Essence palette that I picked up, that specific one, it's too one-noted. This is really like the look I can get with it. I can't do that much else other than like just put one shadow all over my lid or something. Whereas the KKW Beauty one, I have a ton of possible options. And so I think the versatility may be worth the additional money. If Essence had a color story that was more versatile, I would say go with the Essence, because clearly the quality's there. It's beautiful. It lasted super well. It applied super well. But without that versatility factor, I think that the higher end product in this case, in this particular comparison, the higher end product does win out. I feel pretty happy that I personally got the KKW Beauty one for like $10, $11, $12, because I don't know that I think this is worth $40+. Like at that point, I would probably even splurge a little bit more and go for a brand like Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath and really get your money's worth in expertise and innovation in formulas and color stories. So honestly, I don't know how to phrase this, I guess, but if Essence had eyeshadow palettes that were in a more innovative color story, I would say why spend the extra money? But because they don't, and because I feel like the KKW Beauty one, the quality is actually maybe not even as good as the Essence, I would maybe not even buy the KKW Beauty one for the color story. I would maybe just go to a whole entirely new brand looking for the combo of quality and color story that I'm wanting to get. I hope that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is, for the eyeshadow, I think it's a wash. I think it depends on what you value most. Would you prefer to have an innovative color story, or would you prefer to have a low ticket item that still performs well? This was a super fun little experiment for me. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. Comment down below to let me know which side of my face you think looks best, which products you would have picked up based on this review. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you join my channel here. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time.